Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Tuesday. My name is Anna Stashkina and today I wanted to share my new and I guess the easiest way to make wafer paper glue, because if you're working with wafer paper and you want to add wires to a petal or you want your flowers to stay flexible for a long period of time, you definitely need to use wafer paper glue. So let's begin. So let's talk about how to make wafer paper glue. And obviously to make your wafer paper glue, you will need wafer paper. I use scraps. I usually save my scraps. These ones from the last week's tutorial, how to make wafer paper autumn leaves. And you can see I have my scraps here on the table. And actually, because I work with wafer paper quite a lot, you can see I have a full bag of wafer paper scraps. And what I do when I have a full bag like this, I use my food processor or coffee grinder and I grind my wafer paper into this wafer paper flakes. And most of the time, that's what I use to make my wafer paper glue. So you can either take a small amount of these flakes. I take maybe a teaspoon, or you can use these scraps and you don't need to do anything special. You can just grab a few pieces and place them into your glass bowl or a microwave safe bowl. So you can see here I have my scraps and something like this. This amount is enough for me to make quite a few flowers. And then second ingredient is I use distilled water. You can use tap water if you're going to discard your wafer paper glue after each use. And I add just a small amount of water into my glass. All I need to do is to submerge my wafer paper in water and wait for it to start melting. You can leave it like this. You can leave it in your bowl for maybe 4 hours, 6 hours until it melts, because this now is, you can tell, it's a little bit chunky and we need this to be smooth and gel-like. Or another option what you can do is you can take your glass with a plastic spoon, make sure you're not placing nothing metal in your microwave, and you can microwave your wafer paper glue mixture in 10-second increments. You can see that consistency changes, and what you need is to bring it to a boil and make it gel-like and clear like this. And after microwaving my glue, you can see after it cooled down, it became much thicker. So here's my wafer paper glue, and that's what I prefer to use to make my flowers. And I make relatively small amount of wafer paper glue because I prefer to discard it after each use and make fresh, because you can see here it's thick. If you want to make your wafer paper glue in advance, I would recommend you to use distilled water, because distilled water will stay fresh for a longer period of time than just tap water. And I will suggest you to put it in a glass jar or a container with a lid and store it in your fridge for up to 7 days. But this glue is, I made it yesterday, but you can see after storing in the fridge, it becomes a little bit too liquid and a little bit softer than I would prefer. So I usually discard my wafer paper glue and make fresh, because now you know my secrets. I make my wafer paper flakes and I prefer to use my wafer paper flakes. You can see I still need a reason to reuse all my wafer paper scraps. And why I prefer to use my wafer paper glue instead of using water. I wanted to show you an example. So here I have my wafer paper glue, I have 2 petals, and I'll take my water here, you can see, and I will try to attach wires to my petals using wafer paper glue and using water. I'm going to take a small brush. One is to use with water. I'm going to first dip my brush in water. This is just distilled water. And remember, one of the ways you can add wire to petals is just paint a small amount of water, or I prefer wafer paper glue, and place your wire. So you can see my wire is already stuck to my petal. I'm using water now. And same for my wafer paper glue. I will take a small amount of my wafer paper glue, paint here in the middle, and place my wire. So you can see wafer paper glue also makes your wire stick to your wafer paper quite easily. Let's take a look at our petals. This one I used water to attach my wire. You can actually see that water melted my wafer paper a little bit, and it's not stable and it's still very soft. And here from the front you can tell that your wire is visible because wafer paper became moist from using water. On the other hand, my petal where I used wafer paper glue is dry on the front and barely any glue seen from the back side. So I hope you can tell the difference where my petal, one of my petals where I used wafer paper glue, it's dry on top, and this one is where I used water and it's still not dry enough. So using wafer paper glue will help you attach wires and make your petals much quicker compared to using water. That's why I highly recommend you to use wafer paper glue, at least try. You just need to have your scrubs and a touch of water, and you can microwave it in 10-second increments until you have it, and you can even keep it in the fridge up to a week if that's what you prefer. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now you know how to make your wafer paper glue, and you know my little secret, or not so secret, ingredient that I used to make my wafer paper glue. I hope you're going to use my recipe, and if you need the exact measurements and everything I use, you can download my recipe guide in the description. And I would love to see your flowers. Please share on social media and tag me as Estashkina Cakes. And I'll see you next week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. I'll be here. Bye bye.